All right, my little black hatters. So here it is. Today we're going to take a look at this helpful content update. And if you're watching this video, I'm really relying on the fact that you know a little bit more about what it is, that you've maybe spent the time to dig in and figure out some of the factors that are changing when it comes to SEO. In particular, there are some patterns, and I will make another video about the helpful content update in general. But what I think we should be asking ourselves is it bogus or not? This is a thing that I think is being asked on the internet. So if you're watching this video, this is going to be a bit more for those who are advanced with SEO or maybe a little bit more moderate in terms of your SEO knowledge, okay? But it's still going to be helpful for the beginner. And if you have Ahrefs, this is what we're going to be using to look up some data. So I think the first thing is just, is it bogus or not? It promised us one thing. It said, hey, we're Google and we are going to rank content that is more helpful to the user, period. That's what they said. If you want to go through the update, the core update docs and read through it, this is pretty much what it promises, okay? And then here's what many people believed it did. It punished websites with thin content, which is debatable, okay? They said that it punished websites that don't answer questions quickly, like long articles. Like, let's say, for example, if you are having a cooking website and in that cooking website, you don't get to the recipe quick enough and you're talking about what chicken is and what chicken eats and all that sort of stuff that doesn't really matter. I'd say that's definitely debatable too, but it has shown that it has kicked away some of those super long articles, that's for sure. Okay, and then has it punished websites with low backlinks? I'd say, yeah, I've seen that happen too, as well, in some circumstances. And then I have also seen this, and this is some things that other people are seeing too, which is punishing websites with high amounts of advertising, so display ads, right? So when you take a look at all four of these things that it's doing, punishing websites with thin content, punishing websites that don't answer questions quickly, with low backlinks, and high amount of advertising, what it really shows is that the helpful content update is there to kill niche websites. That's what it's there to do. It's there to remove small websites from the search results. And I think that that is true. I do think that that's what the helpful content update was there to do, which makes it more challenging. I'd say most of my viewers here are probably those who are trying to start small websites. But I think there's also some question of whether it's bogus or not, and whether maybe just the landscape has shifted quite a bit. So let's look into something that I found, and I think this is really great to look at today, which is a website that is getting around the helpful content update, and I think we just need to analyze it from a very unbiased perspective. So it is called Love the Maldives, and it is lovethemaldives.com. And if you're going to this website, definitely check it out. Put it into Google, put it into Ahrefs, and let's just take a look at it real quick. So a couple of things that really stand out. It doesn't really have an author, right, which is fine. It doesn't really have much that it offers on the homepage except for just blog posts, right? It's just all about blog posts. One thing that we'll note right away, which I think is really interesting, is there's absolutely zero about page. So that's funny too, is Google always says to us, hey, make sure that there's an about page with the author, a place where people can contact you, making sure that it's real people. Oh, okay, well, nothing is on here that has an about page, okay? So you can't even really find one. And in fact, if you go to the Instagram handle, it just turns into Maldives Mania, and there's not even a link back to the website. It's just a different Instagram altogether, which is interesting. So, okay. So, lovethemaldives.com. So, check this out 821,000 in terms of traffic, and it ranks for 3 million keywords. Okay, and if we actually put on the domain rating tracker here, what we could see is that it was ranking for over 300,000 in terms of traffic, and over 30,000 pages were getting indexed when it had a domain rating of 10. Okay, a domain rating of 10. And as you continue to go and see how it expands, it's essentially acquiring links naturally through the articles that are ranking. It's not even the owners of the site aren't even really doing any link building. That's pretty evident. And the reason why it's evident is you can see that the actual domain rating is growing with the size of the articles and the traffic. And so that would say that it's just natural links that are coming through from all sorts of different sources, okay? But look how much traffic this is getting. Look how many pages are ranked. 285,000 pages are actually getting indexed by Google. Okay, and so you might say to yourself, "Oh wow, well, okay, well, what does that mean? Why is this happening?" Okay, well, let's go into it. So, interesting. We've got a bunch of kind of question and answer type content that's being displayed. Okay, like why won't Uber accept my card? Okay, so let's see. Let's go to an easier one. One that I've already kind of looked at. Okay. What is the average attendance at Disneyland per day? So how many people go to Disneyland a day? Okay, so if we open up this article, this is really, really interesting. Number one, tons of ads. An ad right away doesn't answer the question. It shows you an ad right away. Some of these ads are almost right on top of each other. And in fact, this one is on top of the other one. And then you have this. So, what is the least crowded day at Disneyland? Weekends are less crowded than the weekends than the weekends. Weekdays are less crowded than the weekends. Excuse me, especially Monday through Thursdays. On weekends, Sundays are usually less crowded than Saturdays. Regular weekends tend to be less crowded than holiday weekends. Okay. How many people visit Disneyland Paris daily? What is the low attendance at Disneyland? A video. How many people go to Disneyland a day? Is Disneyland attendance down 2023? This doesn't even really make a lot of sense. It should say, is Disneyland attendance down in 2023? Is one full day enough in Disneyland Paris? I don't really even know what that means. Is one full day enough in Disneyland Paris? And then it just says A for answer. Ideally, we'd recommend 3 full days. 2 days for Disneyland. Okay. Okay. Well, now I understand what it's actually trying to say. It's trying to say, is having one full day enough in Disneyland Paris to enjoy it? Okay. Yeah. Very helpful. That's for sure. Is Disneyland Paris a full day? Once again, I have no idea what that means unless I start reading it and trying to interpret it. I think what it's trying to say is having one full day in Disneyland Paris, once again, enough to fully enjoy it. What is the so if you really start to read through the content, what you can see and hear, even as I'm trying to read it, is that it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's not very helpful at all, actually. It's mostly just gibberish. So when I go to how many people help, or let's go to this actual keyword and Google it, okay? What we can see is it's actually there. What is the average attendance at Disneyland per day? Question mark. So here's the thing. Why is it ranking? Okay, well, it's definitely ranking because number one, there's no other content on this actual term that is serving up the answer to the question. So that's number one. So if you're really trying to look at whether this is helpful content helpful content or not, what you really have to understand is that maybe the actual terms itself are completely underserviced. So I've talked about content gaps before, and this is definitely one of them. And so I would say, is it getting traffic to this article? Like, probably, I would say it probably is. How much, I really don't know, because certainly Google is answering the question right there for you. So before we get into my more criticism about this website and whether we can learn something from it, I think we also have to understand that at the end of the day, our goal here is to get people to click through to your website. That is the goal. You won't be able to have display ads, affiliate links. You won't be able to do anything unless somebody actually clicks through, okay? So if you're targeting super large keywords and maybe Ahrefs is telling you that you're getting 100 clicks a week or a month from it, well, that doesn't necessarily matter if Google Analytics isn't telling you that. You need real people to be clicking through on the site. And so there's a bunch of different ways to make sure that you have that happen. One is to look at keywords that have been completely underserved. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. Number one, you can come down here into these boxes and you can start to write articles that are about these, okay? And these most times don't actually even show up on like Ahrefs or other tools that are giving you keyword search volume, but there is search volume on it, and the reason why is because, well, Google is showing it to you right here, okay? So if nobody was searching for it, Google wouldn't be indexing these questions and serving them back to the users. They know at least multiple people per month have looked them up, and that's the reason why it's trying to serve it back to the end user that's on this page, okay? So you're going to need to do that in mass, though, and so you're going to need to do that in larger quantities if you really want to try to get some traffic, which definitely presents a little bit of a workflow problem, and I'm happy to go through how to do that, how to find some keywords in the future that are kind of underserved, zero search volume, etc. Okay, we will do that. Subscribe to the channel, and I will make sure that I have a very long, detailed tutorial on how to do that. But today is just all about the helpful content update and really knowing, well, is it bogus or not? And I think the question is maybe it's bogus and maybe it's not. Or the answer is maybe it's bogus and maybe it's not. And I just don't really know. And what I can also say is that while this website is complete trash and it's ranking for tons of keywords that it should absolutely not, I think what's also really interesting is as you continue to scroll through here, a majority of this sort of estimate that's coming from Ahrefs is very low in terms of actual traffic. So we don't really know at the end of the day what's going into Google Analytics, whether people are actually clicking through or not, right? So Delta alcohol menu. This is ranked position 9, right? So this is just an estimate from Ahrefs that it's actually getting some traffic, but we don't really even know if anyone is clicking on position 9. And in fact, if we Google this, let's just Google it now. Yeah, what we can see is that most people are probably going to be clicking through the Delta flight menu, right? So they're just going to be looking at the menu. They're not going to be scrolling all the way down. And I don't know where Love the Maldives is. Okay, all the way down here and clicking on this article. But that is sort of a little bit besides the point because in reality, Google's still messing up here. And Google's messing up by ranking this website at all. And that's the problem that I think I want to try to make sure that we focus on, is that if you really go into the site, it should not be ranking for 258 pages, right? So 258 pages should not be indexed if the helpful content update actually worked, which is, I think, the case study that we should be trying to look at with this website. So I don't have good answers for you in terms of whether or not the helpful content update is doing what it's doing. What I can tell you is that it absolutely does seem to be targeting niche websites. And so you have to become less of a niche website. I'll get into more of that in the future too, and how to sort of avoid becoming one of these other niche websites. It does mean that it's a lot more expensive to get into this game. It means a lot more expensive to actually build a brand. It doesn't need to be hundreds of thousands of dollars, but certainly it is expensive to do this, and it's expensive to get around some of these triggers that are trying to kill off some of these websites that are specifically targeting keywords. Which is super funny because that's exactly what Google said, is anybody who's writing articles for keywords is going to get punished. Oh, really? Is that true? I don't think that's really true because all of these articles are specifically targeting keywords. So that's what I think goes around a little bit of a circle with. Helpful content update, is it bogus or not? I think it's generally bogus, yes. I actually don't think it's designed to help the user at the end of the day. I think it's more so designed to prevent niche websites from dominating the SERPs. And I think at the end of the day, they went ahead and they relied mostly on links for a majority of the use cases. This is a special circumstance, one that shouldn't even exist. It's a little bit of an anomaly, and I think it's very interesting to go and look at. So if you're in SEO, I would highly recommend you go and look at this website, study this, study some of the articles, study how it's trash, not to recreate it, but to a little bit more understand how some of these triggers are getting bypassed and how you might use this to be able to bypass some other triggers too. So in particular, I would say how some of these more indirect keywords are ranking for other keywords that could be interesting to you. So can you bring a hairdryer on a plane is a keyword, and this is actually talking about can you bring a hairdryer in your carry-on or check-in luggage. And that's super funny because that is basically just targeting the same keyword, but it's doing it in a little bit of an obfuscated way, which I definitely think is a new strategy that we should be relying on as we look at the helpful content update. All right, hopefully this was helpful. Check out this website. It's complete trash. It's really interesting to look at it. And it does appear as though most of these are just kind of questions that have been pulled from the first page results of Google and then surfaced right up back to you with some really small answers that are absolutely generated by some really crappy AI. So don't ask me whether AI content works or not. It it can, and it just needs me some special circumstances. Okay, this is my video for today. I hope you enjoyed it, my little black hatters, and have a good day.